Welcome to a new episode of Pure Metal Gods. I'm Den, your host, and I'm here with Matt Miller. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Pretty good, Matt. So, Matt, right now I'm checking out one of your songs. It's the WAV file where I emailed you,
Uh-huh.
and I'm not sure what's the name of the song because it's playing on the media player. Hold on, let me bring it up. It's Monument of
Velocity.
yeah.
Yes, that is the title track from my newest new material release. I released that in June. I think June 16th it came out, the first day of the tour that I was on with Rings of Saturn.
Do me a favor, bring your microphone a little bit closer because you're a little bit too far away.
Oh, yeah. How's that, man?
That's much better.
Cool.
Now, what were you saying about your about the song?
Oh, I believe that was, well, actually, Monument of Velocity is the newest album that I have that's not material that I've either re-recorded or remastered, and it came out, I think that it came out June 13th, I think, of 2022, the day of the tour that started with Rings of Saturn. I was on the road with them for a month, and it was a really, really good time.
Oh, okay, cool. You were telling me earlier that you did a show down here in Laredo about what a few months ago or
Oh no,
last year.
I was referring to that tour. No, we passed through there. We went. The first show was in Dallas. We came to. I drove from Oregon to Dallas to when the tour started, and I think we passed through Laredo as we went through by Amarillo. I may be wrong. It was all a blur, but we went through. The first show was in Dallas. The second show was in San Antonio. The third show was in El Paso. And then we made a loop around the country and came back to Houston and Austin were the last two
Well,
shows.
if you went to Amarillo to Dallas, then you went down to 35 to San Antonio, then you went up 10. I'm on 35 going south. So I'm right next to the Mexican border in Nuevo Laredo and Laredo, Texas.
Yeah. Because we went through El Paso, so I remember seeing this. I was seeing the exit for Laredo there. I remember seeing that. I just don't remember where exactly it was. Like I said, man, it was all a blur.
I'm originally from El Paso, so you're all good.
Oh,
Either way,
man, El
you're still in my
Paso.
hometown. Yeah.
Dude, El Paso was a great place. There was a goalie washer when we were there, and it was crazy. It was in the middle of June, end of June, and it was hotter than hell. And all of a sudden, it just started pouring down rain, and there was like a foot of water on the sidewalks or next to the sidewalk. And it was really interesting to see all that rain come down that fast. And I'm from Oregon. I'm from the Oregon coast, and it rains, 70-80% of the year. But that was a lot of rain in a short period of time. And I remember getting a cup of coffee.
You get them flash floods in
Yeah.
Texas that you're not really
Yeah,
used to them torrential downpours like up there in Oregon because you got all the trees and mountains and
Right.
hills.
Right. Where were we? I think we were in when we first came down to Texas, and I was in Dallas the morning of the day the tour started, and there were some older dudes hanging out getting a cup of coffee at McDonald's, and they asked us where we were from because we talked different, And we told them we were from Oregon, and they told us to watch out for black gumbo, man. And I'm like, what the hell's black gumbo? And that's what happens after a torrential down, like a flash flood like that. So we gotta sample the black gumbo, man.
Well, it could have been worse. Could have took you in the Mexico.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, when we went to El Paso, man, I remember we drove all night long from San Antonio, and that's a drive, dude. And
It's
I mean,
an
you know
8-hour
that.
drive. I mean, it's 80 miles per hour down through
Oh,
from
we
San
went faster
Antonio
than that.
to. I mean,
Yeah,
I
we were
drive
hauling
it
it.
all the time. I love it because that's the only place I can turn up the music and just go. You know what I mean?
Yep. Oh yeah, dude. We
Um,
left at like 3 o'clock in the morning from the club that were the venue, whatever the club venue, or whatever. And yeah, we just flew, man. We flew, and it was really cool. It's like you're in like outer space. And yeah, we drove fast as we could go, and just jamming some Marty Robbins all the way to El Paso, man. So it was really cool. And it's a crazy
Well,
town. We rolled into town, and I was tired. I'm like, dude, I need to like lay down and sleep in a bed because I'd been on the road already for over a week because it took us 3 days to get to Dallas from Salem or Portland, where I'm from. And yeah,
that's a
man. So
long
we
drive.
got it is a long drive, and we got there and we went to Motel 6, and the room wasn't ready. Early check-in though, I just remember sitting there in the pool, just floating around in the pool, and
Don't
it was
you
awesome,
hate that?
dude.
I mean,
Yeah, it's
seriously,
brutal.
do you know how many times I've shown up at a hotel, my reservations are made, and we even tell them, hey, we're going to be arriving ahead of schedule. So please have the rooms ready because, we're really beat. Oh, yeah,
Oh
sure,
yeah,
we can
man.
accommodate you in early check in time. Still 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock,
Oh
2 o'clock. I'm
yeah,
like,
man.
Jesus, I hate that.
Yeah, dude. Like it was bad, man. We got in there and there was a Whataburger right across the street was the only thing that made me happy. And I'd never had a Whataburger, but it was great. And we went over to that
Oh,
Whataburger
man. Love
and
Whataburger. That's the best
it was
burger.
awesome. It is. It
Um,
is. I mean, we don't have that. We have In and Out, which is okay, but Whataburger is where it's at, man.
no, man. I mean, In and Out, that's nah. You can keep that over there, man.
For
If you
sure.
ever go to New Mexico again in your travels, look for a lot of burgers. It's just like Whataburger.
We saw that because we went home through New Mexico. We went up. We went from Austin and headed to Nogales, and went up through New
That's
Mexico and
Arizona.
went to there was this town right on the border of the Four Corners, and it's a pretty big town. I can't remember what the heck it was called, but they had one there, and it
Shamrock,
was crazy. Beg your pardon?
Shamrock, Shamrock.
No, like Centerville or something like that.
No, well, if you went up the Four Corners would be Arizona,
Right,
um, New Mexico,
Colorado and
Colorado,
Utah.
and Utah.
Right, because we
So
went.
in that town that you saw a lot of burger, I know because I stop there quite often. It's Shamrock.
Is that where it is? Yeah, because we
Yeah.
stayed the night there, and yeah, man, it was crazy. We went through Fort Sumter and everything on the way, and then yeah, we hit that town and we went through Colorado into Utah up to Salt Lake and Boise, and then
So did
home
you
to
stop at Billy the Kid,
Yeah, we
sightseeing and
did.
all that?
Yep, yeah, we did. We decided to check it out. Wasn't a lot there, but it was really cool, man. And
That old
yeah, I'm a history
jailhouse that
nerd.
they have, it's like really cool.
Yeah, the we didn't go to the old fort because they tore most of it down. And it's kind of a shame, but then we went to the Chamber of Commerce that was there and the visitor center thing they had, and like walked around the memorial and the graves and everything. And it was still really, really cool, man. And it was interesting the history of the town that just dried up because the water was bad. And
Yeah.
yeah, but like I said, history nerd. And then going through Moab was really, really cool in Utah. That was awesome.
Yeah.
But I think out of all the states that we went to, the one that I had the not, the one that was the least happening was probably Wyoming, man.
Ah, man, every time I traveled through Wyoming, um, the only place I liked going was through Yellowstone.
Yeah, see, and when we were going through, they had the floods going on in Yellowstone, and we were like pretty far away because we were heading, just skirting the bottom of the state through outside of Denver, then going straight down, and then we went into Wyoming, into Oklahoma, then into Texas that way. Because we were going to go down through Kansas and take a right in Kansas and head that way, and we were like, no, let's just roll the dice and go down this back road that it's barely on the map, only if you zoom in on the GPS. So we made it, man. But yeah, Wyoming is crazy. We stopped at this one place to get gas because we went through Wyoming 3 times. On the
Really?
way down there, the way back around, and then the way home. And
Yeah, it's probably a
I
little
asked
bit
this lady, I
faster.
said, "What's that?"
It's probably a little bit faster if you go through Wyoming, I would think.
Yeah, it was. And I asked this lady at the gas station. I said, "What do you guys do for fun around here?" And she says, "Well, the bar opens at 3 and we blow shit up." And that tells you that's what's in Wyoming. And I remember just driving, dude, and like on the way back, or the way as we made the turn east, because we went through Denver obviously to get to Texas to Dallas, but then we went through Denver again heading to Kansas, to Lawrence, Kansas, and that was a drive, dude. Like that was like a 12-hour drive, and we got done playing it like we left at 3 o'clock in the morning, and load in the next day would be go. For us was 3 o'clock. So those are all turn and burn shows, and yeah, it was interesting. Denver's a cool place, and Colorado's a really nice state too. It's funny how the northern part of the state is all mostly wooded. Then you get down there, and it's most of it's desert. But yeah, it was a journey, man. And Texas is an awesome place, and it's a lot bigger than the map makes it seem.
It takes at least two. If you're going to drive through all the way through Texas, it takes about 2.5 days.
Dude, we made it from Dallas. Well, that whole trip circuit was crazy. Then when we were done, we drove to we made it to New Mexico in one day, like
45 minutes from El Paso.
What's that?
It's 45 minutes from El Paso. Just
right, but we headed. Yeah, we headed northwest though. So we went through the middle from Austin. We drove like diagonally.
Oh, okay. So you went from El Paso back to Austin. I mean,
no. When the tour ended, we went all the way around the country. Then the last 3 shows were Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Houston, and then Austin. And then from Austin, we drove home and we went diagonally across the state.
Damn, you guys were all over the place.
Dude, we played 29 shows in 30 days.
What cities?
All right, I might forget a couple, but let me think. I had it memorized at one time. So we had the first show was in Dallas. The next night was in San Antonio. Next night, El Paso. Next night was Mesa, Arizona. Then San Diego, LA, Fresno, Sacramento, Portland, Seattle, Boise, Denver, Lawrence, Kansas, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Then we went to, I think, Detroit. Then we went to Indianapolis, where we had we went to Joliet, Chicago. Then we had a day off in Indianapolis on the 4th of July was our only day off. And then we went from there to Pittsburgh, to Boston, to New York City, to frickin' Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Then we went to Baltimore. We hit Greensboro, North Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia. Then we went to Orlando, Baton Rouge, Houston, Austin.
Yeah, that's something.
We played in Salt Lake City too. Yeah, I missed a few, but it was brutal, dude. Yeah, one day off, and and when you're on tour like that, it's not a party, man. It's work, and all those drives that you think, you look at a map, especially on the East Coast, and you're thinking, shit, this is a 6-hour drive. This ain't nothing after you've been on the road for 12 hours for the last month. And I tell you what, you get into New York City traffic, and it's crazy.
Yeah, forget it.
I mean, you're
not even 55.
No, you're crawling. It takes 2 hours to go, 30 miles, if not more.
It's insane, dude.
It is insane. And Atlanta, Georgia was crazy too. And we played in St. Louis. Yeah, I forgot a bunch. But Atlanta.
Who did you play with in St. Louis? Who did you open for?
I was on tour with Rings of Saturn.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I did. I know we did the Cyber Shred tour. It was Rings of Saturn, Extortionist, Distinguisher, myself, and Vorath.
Oh, that's cool. I'm surprised. Do you know the guys from Anacrucis? They're from St. Louis.
I've heard that name before, but I do not recall, man. And like I said, dude, you don't really have a lot of time to really get to know people in depth. But I remember I've heard that name before, and I'll have to check their music out again. But I think I've heard it too.
When you guys were in El Paso, who was doing your sound system, your sound set?
Oh, we had a front of house guy, but we played at the the Rock House.
Yeah.
And I do not remember. Like I said, man, like the typical day of like touring's you get there at at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, supposed to be anyway. The headlining band has a sound check. They set up their merch. You put up your stuff. Hopefully, get a sound check if there's not a local band. Worst case scenario is you get to do a line check, which is pretty much just turning your stuff on and see if it works, which is cool. I mean, whatever it takes,
Yeah.
And after that, dude, you get your little moment there. Then you get some food. After your merch is all set up, you play your set, hang around, try to sell your merch, and then you leave at 3 o'clock in the morning and drive for 12 hours wherever you're going. So it's,
it's brutal.
It is brutal. And 29 shows in 30 days, and we're not talking, those drives from like Denver to the other side of Kansas, those are long ones. Like those are long
Yeah,
drives. Are like driving
long,
from
boring ones.
well, I tell you what, man, like the guy that was with me, the driver, like he said about a weekend this will all be a blur. So, and it was. By the time we got to New York, I remember hanging out downtown on Broadway. We played a really, really cool place, and we were all having a good time. It was probably the only time I really had a good time. I mean, like having a few drinks and this and that, and because I just couldn't, I can't do my best if I'm partying. It's just not going to happen playing technical music, and for me anyway. And we had a good time. Everybody hung out. It was really, 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 really cool. And I made it through the Holland Tunnel, and I passed out, and I woke up in Pennsylvania. So
That
that's how that
works.
went.
That
Yeah, man.
works.
Yeah, it
Um,
was cool.
let's talk about your new album. The song that we just that I was playing on my side,
Oh yeah, yeah.
sorry. So
Oh
how did you get the concept and start with the technicality on what you wanted to do on this album compared to your previous songs?
well, just for context, like on my first instrumental LP, you know, on that one, I would never plan for that to be an instrumental album. And if people listen to it, the remaster just came out too on Blood Blast, Nuclear Blast. So check it out if you get a chance. But that album, you could tell some of those songs were written for vocals. Like you could sing. I mean, you could put vocals over any tune, but like there was definitely the verse chorus kind of vibe going on. And so with Monument of Velocity, it was written as just like a straight up instrumental album, and it's more along the lines of like um like a guitar instrumental album, like such as I don't want to. I mean, it's not like Ingwe or Paul Gilbert all the way, like where it has. It's not like I don't want to date what I'm doing, but it's more of like a modern thing, like a Jeff Loomis kind of thing, or like a conquering dystopia kind of stuff. And on that record, I wrote it with the idea of it just being like guitar intrinsic, and I added a lot of more symphonic elements. There's some cool synths on there and keyboards and stuff, and you know um it's just more progressive too. A lot of different, like some timing change stuff, and my mindset was I had to outdo what I did last time, and what I did last time I was really, really happy with. But on that Monument record, I didn't even hold my guitar to write most of it. I'd come up with the initial riff for a song, and then I'd put my guitar down and just write the rest of it without even playing, because I thought I wanted to make sure that I challenged myself to do stuff I hadn't done
No, that's great. Hold on, my AC just kicked off. Um, yeah, because when I was listening to it, I was like, "Wow, this sounds really good." And I was telling you that through Messenger when we were chatting, that you had some elements that kind of brought me back to the early days of Dream Theater, and they're like with that like harpsichord or
before. Yeah,
whatever instrument it was. I mean, I was trying to make it out. It's kind of hard when the guitar tones kind of match that pitch too, the way you
right.
were playing on it. So I was like, is it a harpsichord or is it I was trying to figure it out.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's kind of like I'm an Ingwe Malmsteen fan, huge Ingwe fan, and he did that a lot. And they would have like him and Jens Johansson, would duel back and forth and stuff. And I really like that sound. Even Tony McAlpine, all those '80s shredders are I'm a huge fan of. And Jason Becker too, all those guys, and Tony McAlpine, Greg Howe, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. And yeah, there's some synth in there, and I like it because I was able to harmonize with the guitar using it, and it made it sound differently. Where when I record a left and right rhythm guitars and pan them all the way, and I also record everything on guitar, the leads and melodies, panned all the way left and right, but I double everything because I was when I was a kid, I read this article about Randy Rhoads, and they said, "Oh, Randy Rhoads doubled all of his guitar solos," and so if Randy Rhoads did that, I'm a huge Randy Rhoads fan, and it sounded really cool. So I, did the same thing, and that's and the keyboards help kind of make it all stand out. I thought a little bit, and I like the sound of like the harpsichord or like the Children of Bodom, another band that I'm a huge fan of. As a matter of fact, I did a couple of covers of their songs, and I really like that. I think it sounds cool. I think it adds
Yeah,
depth
it
and
gives it
dimension,
a
and it kind of
unique
cuts.
texture. That's what it
Yeah.
does. And I was like, when I heard it, I was like, I played it like four times, believe it or not. Uh, and then I went to your cover albums,
Yeah.
But, yeah, and we were talking about that, and I was like, it's got some good influences, but no one ever does that one song from Ozzy, "The Shot in the
Oh,
Dark."
Shaw, you, Bodum did do that one. They did. I looked it up. I
Really?
thought, I was like, yeah, they did. And they did a great job. And I'm a fan of Jakey Lee. I think he's a great guitar player. And, what was that? Bark at the Moon? That's a great album.
Yeah.
Um, and Bob Daisley and Lee Kerslake are awesome songwriters, and they kind of got the short end of the stick on that one, as we all probably know. But great song. And I did a couple Aussie covers. I did on 8Es, clever title, 8Es. I did Over the Mountain, and I did Perry Mason. So if you like Aussie music and you like Randy Rhoads and Zach Wild, go check it out. My good buddy John Hall did the vocals on both those tracks, and they turned out great.
Yeah, no, I was listening to him and I was like, yeah, this is cool. Especially the Dio song. Yeah, I wish he would have done Last in Line, my favorite,
Oh
but
man, you know what? I'm on a huge Dio kick right now too, and I've been listening to a lot of Rainbow, and I had
yeah.
never heard the tune Stargazer before.
Really?
No, and I was missing out. I mean, I know who Dio is. I'm a huge Dio fan. Freaking obviously all the Rainbow in the Dark, Last in Line, freaking Holy Diver, of course, We Rock. There's all even the stuff he did with other Rainbow stuff like Man on Silver Mountain and Long Live Rock and Roll, all that stuff. I'm a huge fan, but I never heard Stargazer.
Oh, that's a
And I
great
heard that
song.
song and I was like, dude, that's cooler. And I swear, if you listen to Stargazer, then listen to Heaven and Hell, and then listen to Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, they all ripped that song off
Oh,
or
I
paid
believe it.
homage to it. All three of those songs are great, but yeah, dude, Dio rules. And Paul Gilbert just did a Dio thing too. I don't know if you saw that, but he did a whole album of Dio covers. But instead of Dio singing, it's him playing guitar, and that's freaking cool.
Oh, very cool. Okay, so all right, I'm trying to figure out how to word this correctly without like sounding offensive. Okay,
No, go right ahead.
okay, we're both guitar players, okay,
Right.
and you already know when you're working on one album and then you're starting a new album, you got to outdo yourself from the previous album.
Absolutely.
And how technical have you gotten, and what have you learned throughout the years to help your ability? Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, yeah. Um, absolutely, man. Like, and you're right. We always try to outdo ourselves or get better, and that's part of the process. And I think instead of being competitive against other people, if you're going to be competitive against anyone, be competitive against yourself. And whatever you like, expand upon it. And for me, anyway, it's not always necessarily more crazy or more technical or more complicated. Sometimes it's, can I say more with less? I mean, that's a cliche in itself, but then other people like English say more is more, how can must be more? This and that, but that's just personal preference. And part of me agrees with Ingwe and part of me agrees with David Gilmour. Both awesome stuff, different sides of the coin, but cool nonetheless. To me, it's like, I just want to find music create music that it makes me feel something. And like a part comes on, like like if it's awesome vocals, or what are killer drums, you know what I mean? It's like you sit and go, oh, that's awesome, but wait till this part comes. You're listening to music with your friends, like, dude, check out this part, it's coming to the door. And I'm always searching for those parts. And so I have a record right now that I'm 5 songs into that are 80% done. It's gonna be an instrumental record, and those 5 songs are considerably heavier and more technical than anything I've done so far.
Really?
As far as instrumental, yeah, it's crazy. Like, for me anyway, I'm really pushing myself. For some reason, this album is going to be a slamming technical death metal album, and it's not all blast beats, but there's a lot of them. But there's a lot of cool other parts too, where there's these melodies. It's almost like power metal kind of stuff going on in some of these parts with the big epicness, and there's going to be some keyboards and this and that. And but those 5 songs are extremely aggressive. I mean, there's glimpses of that on all my records. But this one's going to be even more heavy. But the other songs I have in mind for the record, because I want to do 8 songs again. I think 8 songs, is enough for an album. Look at Rain and Blood, Master Puppets, Peace Cells, Rust in Peace. 8 tracks is enough. But those other 3 songs are going to be more my older style, which is definitely a nod and a throwback to, like, the classic stuff like Racer X and Cacophony and stuff like that. But those other tunes are more aggressive. And you know, I think one thing about it is at this time is there's not going to be as many melodies going on because the riffs are a lot more. I'm just going to let a lot of the riffs breathe. Where I think in Monument of Velocity, I could have done that, but I didn't. But this time I'm going to do that and let kind of the heaviness come through on this one. But I also have a power metal record that's almost done. That, excuse me, that the vocals need to be finished for. And when that thing's done, it's going to be pretty cool. Think of like Mystic Prophecy meets like Sonata Arctica, Dragon Force kind of stuff. So it's gonna be pretty cool. I should
Who's
have some
singing?
more releases.
Who's singing on that one?
I cannot tell you.
Oh,
Can't do it. I wish
all
I
right.
could. I really do, but I can't.
No, that's cool. I understand. It's better anyway for when it gets released. And
Well, to be completely honest, you know, there's multiple people that are working on it.
okay,
So we'll see what happens.
all right. So, what label are you on again? You said it so
Uh,
fast.
Blood Blast. It's a subsidiary of Nuclear Blast.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Yeah, they.
you know,
Take care.
yeah, it's because like I was talking to Saska when he told me that you were trying to get a hold of me, and I was like, you know, I haven't heard from him. You know, he's like, no, check right now, check your messenger. So I checked it. Yeah,
It was,
how,
you know,
how long have you known Saska?
Relatively new, man. I haven't known him for too long, maybe like a year.
Oh,
And
okay.
I did a solo on his Nova Slave project.
I
And
haven't heard about that one yet.
yeah, I did a solo for that. It hasn't come out yet. And I think something like having the vocals done. But I think the drummer from Belphegor played on it. I can't remember the guy's name. Just awesome band. But name escapes me. But yeah. And he got a hold of me to do some Deicide covers. And I think we're going to do a couple of those. And one of them I've already done before, but I told him I would, you know, more than likely do the at least the solo on When Satan Rules His World. But
Yeah, he was telling me about that on the last about 2 weeks ago on our podcast that we had. You
oh,
know,
nice.
so we were talking about like what songs he was going to do from Deicide, and he mentioned that he wanted to do When Satan Rules the World, and I thought that was cool that he's actually going to the old Deicide. You know,
Yeah, you know, I'm a Deicide fan, and I like all eras of the band. But you know, man, Ralph Santola on the Stench of Redemption was great.
you know what? Personally, my favorite album it's always been Legion. You know, even though when
Yeah,
I mean, it's
hard to beat.
funny. I was listening to a podcast with Glenn Bennon, and he actually stated when that album got released, no one took to it. It took them like years before they
Yeah,
actually gravitated to it, and I was like shocked because that album was actually before its time.
you know, I remember people always say that, or most people say that their first one's the best. Deicide, Deicide, and then you know you hear that one, you hear like Once Upon the Cross, you know, then you hear like once in a while Serpents of the Light. I really like Serpents of the Light too. As a matter of fact,
Yeah,
I did a cover of that track too on in a different, and I did a was in a band that I was doing, and I like Deicide, but you know, the early albums are just mean. They're mean and they're angry. And I mean, all their stuff is. I mean, that's easy to say. It's death metal, but
yeah,
it was just like there was like you like to me there was like more force behind it. And you know, Incinerate them. You know, there's that one that's not bad. I mean, it's like Morbid Angel, man. It's like there's songs of theirs I like more than others, and albums of theirs I like more than others. And you know, they're just one of those classic bands that you know, they make good stuff.
yeah. I've talked to Mike Browning, and I was like,
Oh, right
when
on.
yeah, I was telling him, hey, man, did you ever think Chapel of Ghouls, Immortals, were going to be the test of time? I mean, those songs
Right.
are the test of time. When you think of Morbid Angel from the first album, those are the
Yeah.
songs that pop in your head.
Yeah. You know, to me, Domination's my favorite Morbid Angel album.
My favorite
And
was the first one and Covenant.
Covenant was good. You know what's funny is all four of their first albums go A B C D, and we were like, when we were kids, we were like blown away. They're like, dude, there must be like some sort of like underlying theme, or maybe it's a one giant concept or something. But yeah, Covenant's a good album. Domination, Blessed of the Sick, Altars of Madness, all that stuff is really really good, man. But if you're a Morbid Angel fan, we did Eyes to See, Ears to Hear.
Oh, I
I
love that
covered a,
song.
yeah, I did an old school death metal cover album called Recomposer, and different vocalists on the tracks. And what did we do on that one? We did Dismember, we did Deicide. No, we didn't do Deicide. We did
You
Dismember,
know,
Death.
that's one band right there that you don't hear a lot here in the States. No one hardly mentions Dismembered.
They went away, dude. They went away and they came back, and they're an awesome band. We did on Frozen Fields.
Oh,
Yeah, I like that album. God, I can't remember the name. And everybody's like, "An Ever Flowing Stream's a good one." But yeah,
what album was it that kind of had that Iron Maiden harmonizing? You know which one I'm talking about, right?
I don't remember, man, off the top of my head.
A lot of their songs, I mean, like when you listen to the whole tracks, a lot of them just had that harmonizing solo style of like Maiden in it.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah. On Frozen Fields, it's got definitely has an Iron Maidenish vibe to it. And I double tracked the guitars on like I do everything, but that song really turned out good. And I'm a huge Dismember fan. What else we did? We did Morbid Angel, I See Yours to Hear. We did Bloodbath, Cry My Name. We did some Cannibal Corpse, 6 Feet Under. We did Death Within the Mind. James Murphy approved. Uh,
oh yeah,
James heard that track and he was like, "That was good." So that made me feel really
yeah.
good.
James did a podcast with me and Tony Dunlin from Venom Inc.
Oh,
About,
nice.
about a
Yeah.
month ago.
Oh,
Called
killer. Yeah, James is a great guy, dude.
yeah, James is awesome. And
He's a legend. One of my heroes.
no, man, I like James. He's cool, but he kind of gives you that intimidation vibe if you're a guitar player, you know.
I don't know. I
Oh,
don't know,
maybe
man.
for
It's
me.
like, well, it's like I have to. I mean, I feel you. I feel you all the way because it's like you look at what he's done and like how prolific it is,
Exactly.
and it's just like, so it's just kind of like, all right, you know,
what
it's one of
can I
those things
say
where you
to the
just,
guy? It's like
yep,
what exactly? What can I say to him? Or what question can I ask him that no one has asked him? And it's like it's crazy, dude.
it is crazy, and I that's why usually when the first time I talked to him, I had to tell him right away, let's just get like the cliche, let's just get this out of the way. But huge fan, you rule, and then moving on, and then trying to like, let it go.
Yeah, when I talked to him too, I was like, "Hey, James, uh, I appreciate this, but you're like my idol, dude, on the guitar."
Yeah,
And
man.
he's like, "Oh, cool, thank you." You know how he is, very
Oh
humble,
yeah,
and
he's very humble and he's extremely talented, and that just goes to show that there's so many awesome talented people, and he's just one of those guys that's just super nice, and and he's a genuine person, and James was supposed to master a record that I did with Lord Marco from 600 Brangel, The Faceless, and Rings of Saturn. Him and I did a record together, and Tony Revere, who did the vocals on most of the songs on Recomposer, did the vocals, and we have a project called Chasm of Discord. And James was supposed to master that album, and I was super excited because I heard his work; he does a great job, but timelines just didn't work out. But yeah, James is a awesome dude, a great guitar player, and I was thrilled to have him comment on my video and go, "Man, that's great." So thanks, James.
yeah, James is awesome. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's like you see James from going from Death to all these other bands, and then the last one, Testament, and he actually, when he joined Testament really became on. They stepped out of the shadows of all the other bands.
They were the only band that got heavier.
Yeah,
That was the thing. Like when they put Low out, like there is a huge difference between the Ritual to Low. and
Oh,
everybody else kind of like started getting like softer and slowed down, and they started turning into blues bands and being experimental when they were like, nah man, we're going to start making death metal. And Low's a great album. James has
and
been on a
Legion.
million different records. We also did Cause of Death by Obituary on Recomposer, and he liked that one too, so thanks to him. And he was on so many of these awesome recordings. Conqueror stuff was killer when I was a kid. Cancer, Obituary, Death, his own album Reconvergence. It was awesome. That was
Yeah,
one of the very
that
first
was an
instrumental.
awesome album.
Yeah, Devin Townsend sang on that album, and you know, Disincarnate. There needs to be another Disincarnate album. If James sees this,
I've been
James,
waiting for that for years, man.
record another Disincarnate album, please.
Yeah,
The world needs it. And
trust me.
and when he joined Testament, man, he nailed those Alex Skolnick solos. And I think that's what James was. Is James is like the first guy, maybe not the first, but one of the guys that brought the shred-tastic stuff that was coherent into death metal. Because like when you listen to like Leprosy, which is a freaking awesome album, of course, and Chuck Schuldiner is one of my huge heroes. But when they did Spiritual Healing, it just seemed to get tighter, more technical, and just was more coherent. And I think that might have been, James adding that flavor, because when you listen, I mean, no, not to take away from Chuck at all, but like, James brought the virtuosity into death metal. I think was one of those guys. There was other guys, but he was the one that had a huge impact on me.
Yeah, actually, when I interviewed James, he actually stated that it's what did he state? His quote words. I don't want to misquote him. He's all, when he was in death, he put himself in the death box, and where he wrote 25% of the songs.
Right.
And then later on in the interview, he stated straight up, he was like, till this day, I can pick up the guitar and play like Judas Priest, King Diamond, Merciful Fate. Because it's not hard to do if you know how to play. Yeah, and
Right.
that's the truth. He knows how to play.
Yeah, he's a
Well,
great, and he knows, music theory and stuff, and the guest solos he does is awesome. I have a James Murphy story, and
okay, go for it.
I asked him about this. So when I was a kid, they had a Guitar World magazine with Dave Mustaine sitting in an electric chair, and he had that Y2KV, which was like a Gibson V. Didn't have the pointy headstock; it had the diamond shape.
Wasn't that the
And
Shocker? The supposed to be the
yes, it
Shocker?
was. It
Yeah,
was from the Shocker, from the No More Mr. Nice Guy looking thing, exactly. But it was like years after that song had come out, right? So we're talking like late '90s, right? And like 90, 98, 99. Anyway, so I'm reading this magazine, and it said that James Murphy played in Megadeth.
what?
Yeah.
What?
And
No.
so I was talking to James, and I says, "Hey man," I said, "Was it true that you were in Megadeth?" And he said, "This is a story." So when he got out of Testament, we all know, he got a call, and they wanted him to play in Megadeth. Marty Friedman recommended James to play in Megadeth. And I think he said they did one show. Don't this I might be mistaken because it's been a while, but they played one show at the House of Blues together with James and Megadeth. And I think he said that's when he got started getting really sick from the tumor that he had.
Yeah, the
And
brain cancer.
yeah, yeah, and he couldn't play. But yeah, we almost had James Murphy in Megadeth.
If someone's got that video out there, you need to upload it on YouTube and
Yeah,
put a
we're all
comment
waiting.
on this one, and so we can link it. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
cool.
that's what James told me. Now I don't remember if he said that they played the House of Blues, but I know that he told me that he did play with them, and he couldn't continue to do so because he was sick. And that's why he left Testament, was he wasn't feeling good already.
Yeah.
But he's like, dude, Megadeth, Marty Friedman, referred him. And when Marty Friedman, says, "Hey, this is the guy that should be playing," then you got to go, well, here I am.
Wow, that's cool though. I mean, that's
Yeah.
yeah. If you can't think you can't get any higher than his pinnacle,
Yeah.
No, that's cool. James has got an awesome background, and it's
Yeah.
a pedigree that most guitar players strive to get.
Man, on his solo record on Convergence, like hearing the harmonized stuff that he did on that was really, really, really cool. And the production, he's a great producer too. I was so stoked that he was going to master our album, but it just didn't work out. But yeah, man, he's a talented dude.
Maybe next time. Maybe on your this new project that you're working on.
Yeah, yeah, definitely gonna hit him up. That has crossed my mind that maybe we can make that happen this time.
Yeah, I mean, just I guess you gotta just sit down your time frame and go from there.
Yeah, it's just gotta align. And I'm hopefully going back on the road here soon. So I'm trying to get this album done. And you can't rush stuff, but I want to be able to tour on a record again. That was huge.
Yeah.
And have it come out.
Since you're bringing up the you want to go on tour again, and you know, um, what areas have you guys got planned? You know.
Oh, I have there's something going on this summer, starting on the East Coast that hopefully will get worked out. I can't give a lot of details about it. There's that, and then I hopefully a continental tour too. Again, another full country run, man, full U.S. tour, and sign me up. I'm ready to go.
Any South America, Europeans?
There, yeah, there's some stuff about that. I had worked with a band, and a band that we're all fans of, and hopefully you never know what's going to happen, but I might be if things happen, I might be joining this band on some stuff. So when that happens, I'll make an announcement and I'll be happy. But there's many irons in the fire. I just signed with Continental Booking, and their artist rosters like bands like Obscura, Hypocrisy. List goes on. Those are the ones that are coming on top of my head, but list goes on and on and on and on. And hopefully we'll be on the road soon.
Well, that's cool. Let's go back to your album anyway. So give us a breakdown on what each track that you did on it and the difference between each song is.
Oh, like on Monument for that album, it's hard because if I'm listening to it, it kind of what's the word, invokes those things. Like it's easier for me to talk about why I hear it because I can think about it, but not hearing it. Each one of those songs is like a scene from a movie. Now that doesn't mean that they're in order of this movie, but they're like scenes to a movie. And when I write music, I want it to have a story to it, regardless if there's words or not, and there to be a theme. It's like some songs remind me about different stuff, like Monument and Velocity. The intro of that song with those droning notes, that was something I got from watching War of the Worlds. Like when the monsters are all walking around, they're all, that's the sound I was trying to go for. Let's see, Abominable Sands. It sounds like it's got some of that Middle Eastern kind of, tonality to it, the Phrygian stuff and the Lydian stuff and the Locrian stuff in that track. And that's why kind of Abominable Sands, like crossing the desert. The Acheron, that track, I'm a history nerd, and I like the movie Master and Commander. And Acheron is not only the name of, I think something to do with the River of Styx, but it was the name of the ship. And I remember watching that movie, and Russell Crowe's in there shredding the violin, and his buddy's playing the cello, and I thought it's kind of classical kind of thing going on, and a lot of that stuff, I learned from like playing Mozart stuff. I'm lucky enough to know a guy that's a violinist that studied at the conservatory for 20 years, and we jam all the time, and so that's where I learn all this classical stuff from as he teaches it to me. And
cool.
So there's a huge classical influence in all my records, and especially on Monument. And that's where the harps are like going back, with the harpsichord kind of sound. That's why that's all in there, is because it's a nod to those classical influences. Let's see, The Human Race Against Time. It's got that really, really, really power metal Dragon Forcey kind of, tremolo picking fast. We're going, pretty quick, and like a race. It makes you want, it's going fast. And let's see what else. I'm just trying to recall the tracks off the top of my head. The Fissure, the first song. When I saw the album art that I chose for the album, it kind of reminded me of like something like an alien world splitting, like something a monument of velocity, like an asteroid hit this place and like wiped out the planet. And that's kind of like the cold, desolate kind of sets the stage, if you will, the theme for the whole thing. And it's kind of got some of those weird chromatic descending lines that I was listening to Regina Spektor, and she had some really cool descending piano lines that sounded like something like a Chopin kind of a deal, or like a Philip Glass kind of a thing. And that's where those came from. And
Oh,
let's
very
see what
cool.
else. Sacred Geometry. That song, you could literally take the riffs and parts in and out, and they will all fit over each other.
Oh,
And like
cool.
so it's kind of like looking in 3D, man, like a geometry.
So you were doing
Object.
a lot of quadro pointing.
I don't know what that means, but sure.
It's basically layering over different melodies over each other.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Like a lot of counterpoints and stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm just being stupid. But yeah, absolutely. And you know what? When I write instrumental music, sometimes I'll find a rhythm underneath a melody that I made, and I'll take that rhythm and like make something else out of it. And that's why these songs all have continuity within themselves. And that's the one thing that I think out of, you know, the one thing that I'm happy to read when people uh, give a review of my music is that not only was it cool guitar playing, but they're good songs and they're interesting and they're not boring. It's not just like the same old thing, or like, I'm up there, doing sweep arpeggios just for the sake of doing it, or just, nonsense.
No, like
And
I told you earlier, that second track when I was hearing that harpsichord in it, and you remember the old Dragon Ball Z's, the history
dude,
of Trunks. You know where
I
Dream
have,
Theater came out on that?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm a Dream Theater fan too. Images and Words,
Yep,
Scenes from Memory, Metropolis. I remember hearing the beginning of that.
that one. That was the song I was thinking of.
Yeah, absolutely. That had a huge impact on me. And, the test that stumped them all. I don't know.
No,
I'm a,
I mean seriously. I mean because when I was listening to it, I mean I was well. You already know because you saw it in the text message and Messenger, which no one else will be able to see it. But we were talking about it. I mean, it reminded me of Metropolis, like you said.
that's awesome. Thank you, man. Thank you very much.
No, it was great just to hear that because you don't hear music like that anymore.
Well,
That's the truth.
I appreciate it, dude. And, and that's one thing is I'm one of those guys, like we're both guitar players, and I
Right.
grew up in a time playing guitar where it wasn't cool. If you wanted to, play solos or play anything that had any sort of like, any moving around at all, it wasn't cool. Like, it was for, oh, this guy wants, who does he think he is? Eddie Van Halen. Well, Eddie Van Halen sucks. That kind of thing going on.
You know
And,
when I know where you're coming from because when I did that, everyone's all, "Why are you doing that?" I'm like,
yeah,
"Well, I'm like
exactly,
I grew up to shredders, you know."
man. Yeah, me
And,
too. Well, not,
and it's funny. It's funny. I had one dude. I remember. I was like already 30 years old, right? Some kid came up. He's all, "Well, why are you shredding?" And I'm all, "Because I can." Unlike you.
yeah,
And he's all, "What do you mean?" Unlike me. I'm all, "Show me. Do your song, throw a shred in there, and show me. Then don't complain to me."
right.
You know,
You know, and that's the thing, dude, is like not all music has to have over the top guitar. But I tell you this, I have respect for anybody that makes music. I like certain music more than I like others, but I would never tell somebody to limit themselves as an artist in any certain way, because if you try to expand your horizons, it's going to be limiting in any way. That's
you
counterproductive,
know,
and it's counterintuitive, and it's bullshit, man. I
you know,
mean,
it's funny. It's because I got all my friends that are, I mean, that are not musicians, but they're strictly death metal. And I'm like, no, but you broke away from death metal. I'm all, yeah, because you can only do so much in death
yeah,
metal. I'm
exactly.
all, I love death metal, but you know what? Me being a musician, I guess, and this comes from like listening to people like Alex, James, Chuck. I mean,
Yeah,
they took in everything. And why limit myself in my
yeah.
playing to that? Oh, fuck that.
No shit, man. Well, it's kind of like this, dude. It's like death. Death was a band that changed with every single album they made. That is what made it legendary. That is what made it what it was. You never got the same album twice. There is a huge difference between Scream Bloody Gore and Human.
Oh,
I mean,
definitely.
continuity all the way. But and I guess in my opinion, I guess the closest two albums that you could have back to back would be Human and Individual Thought Patterns. Like
Yeah.
there's some similarities there, but I mean, how could there not be? But you know, evolution, man. It's like look at Vital Remains. You know, they're a death metal band. They're like Deicide on steroids. To a certain degree.
Actually,
But
when I heard Vital Remains when they broke out, is when Glenn was singing
yeah, yeah,
"Dechristianize."
yeah. If you listen to Decomposer, I did a cover of Dechristianize, and
You got to send me
I,
that track.
yeah, yeah. I'll send you I'll send you links to all the albums I did. You can have them.
Yeah,
But
that way we
freaking
can put them. That way I can put them all at the bottom of this podcast when it gets released.
sure, yeah, that'd be great, man. I'd much appreciate it, and I'll send you the links and stuff. And you know, look at Dave Suzuki. Not only is that guy a crazy drummer, he's also a ripping guitar player. And I don't think Dechristianize would have been what it was without his tasty melodic guitar solos. And I
That
like
dude
death
was
metal.
amazing. I
Yeah,
mean,
man. And like Hammer
especially
Down
on
the
that.
Nails.
Oh, dude.
That's crazy stuff. And it's so melodic and so good. And you know, there's nothing wrong with melody. Like Gene Hoggle. I mean, Gene Hoggle had said it, dude. There's nothing wrong with writing catchy death metal tunes. You can have some melody just because if it's not, it's like, dude, I like brutal death metal. I like Gorgasm. I really do, but I can't listen to Gorgasm all day long. I got to have some variety.
Exactly.
I got to toss in
You,
some death
you,
and
you
some
know,
Iron Maiden. Dude, King Diamond will make its way in there, and I bet you all those guys probably could agree that as a fan of metal, there's lots of good stuff out there. I
well,
like
look
music
at
with
Andy.
keyboards in it.
Andy played with Chuck on what album was it? Human, wasn't it? Or
Uh, who? Andy LaRoque? Yeah, he
yeah,
did the solos on Individual Thought Patterns.
yeah. I mean, and he didn't even bother studying it or even learning the songs. He just improvised. I
Well,
mean,
I think on the I might be wrong, but on the death documentary that just came out with a couple years ago, they said that Chuck sent him tapes, ADAT tapes, that only the solos, the sections that he wanted Andy to solo over, right? So he came to the studio and was like, "I'll just do it right now," because he didn't know it's like. How do you drive a car when you don't know? And you're a race car driver, but you don't know what's under the hood. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
kind of like, yeah, he just sat down and did it. And okay, dude, King Diamond was the like 3 or 4 years ago, pre-COVID, like right before, like that winter
yeah.
before winter. That was the best show I've ever seen in my life. They sounded so good, it almost sounded like it was fake, but it wasn't. And Andy LaRoque is like one of those dudes of the only few that actually sounds like themselves live, if that makes any sense.
No, it does. It does make sense
I mean,
because
and Mike Weed is a great guitar player too, and it was just insane, man. King Diamond rules. And I would rather, this is my personal opinion, that Merciful Fate stuff that came around was cool. But I would rather see the King Diamond show any day,
yeah.
in my opinion.
Honestly, I think when King Diamond came out, when he left Merciful Fate, mm, I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but he really stepped it up. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
Like that's where
absolutely.
his name really blew up. It wasn't
Yep.
from Merciful Fate. It was from King
No.
Diamond.
And let me tell you, I love Don't Break the Oath and I love Melissa. Great
Oh
albums.
yeah, great album.
But the I or
Oh,
Conspiracy, of
them.
course Abigail, Grandma, it's time for tea, good stuff, man.
And I remember when those songs came out, and I remember when I was a kid, and my grandmother would piss me off. I would turn on that one song with the grandma in there,
Right. Dude.
driving her crazy. Oh God, rest her soul.
Well, and,
Forgive
and,
me.
and this goes full circle back to the conversation we are talking about starting out playing guitar for me anyway. So I was growing up in the era of like new metal. What a terrible
Right.
thing. And grunge was still a thing, and this really bad '90s alternative music. There were some good songs and all that stuff. Don't get me wrong. I'm a Fear Factory fan. I like Static X. There's I can say some good about everybody, but it wasn't my thing. And that's what actually got me into older music. And once I started listening to we all grew up on Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth, yada yada yada, Testament, yada yada, on and so forth. Then all of a sudden I found myself like, well, the music now sucks. I want to play guitar.
You know,
I got into the older stuff, and then actually going into the older stuff got me into death metal. That's when I started getting into death metal because there was guitar playing. I
you
think
know,
as far as I'm concerned, I mean, this is just me, but I think the best death metal albums came out between 1996 and probably 2002.
it was
Those
kind of
things,
funny. Me and Jeff Becerra, we did an interview and we are talking, and
nice.
I love you, Jeff. When I wrote the interview, I said, death metal started becoming the ultimate fuck you in your face,
Yeah,
compared to thrash metal, and thrash metal was getting boring. And
yeah,
Jeff actually told me, he's all, "Are you sure you want to quote that?" I'm all, Jeff, I'm all, "This story is just as much part of you it is as me because you know I know what I wanted to break away from, and I wanted to find something. And you were the band to lead me into death metal, to death, to obituary,
yeah,
to napalm, and all them.
yeah.
And it's like, he's all, long as you stick to your guns, because you got bands like Metallica, Megadeth, I'm like, fuck them, I mean, this is my opinion. This is my story.
Right. Well, and I'm sure that to a certain degree they might actually agree with you.
Yeah.
You know, um, high watermark for thrash was 1990, in my opinion. After obviously the early records, Rain and Blood came out. In like what 85, 86, and it
Yep.
was like, okay, the next. I mean, and Justice for All was good. So far, so good. So what was good. Anthrax albums were good. All that stuff was good, but then it wasn't like Rust in Peace came around,
Uh,
and to me, that's what my favorite album of all time. And that, in my opinion, was like the high watermark of thrash. Like
I think
it was,
for me,
I mean, Seasons in the Abyss is good too. That's a great
yeah.
record. But, and then all of a sudden these other things started happening. Countdown came out, the Black Album. I mean, these are all awesome records, don't get me wrong, but like this is just my personal opinion. But then like all of a sudden death metal came along, like became more popular.
Yeah.
Like they kept pushing it and making it, taking it up a notch. Because that's initially what thrash did. Was it took like, this is all common sense. Anybody that listens to metal knows this shit. But it's like, they took the best elements of Rust in Peace, Rain and Blood, Master of Puppets, and they took those elements and they created death metal with it.
No, you're
And that's
right.
like
It's true.
Nocturnus, dude. Like they were ahead of their. I mean, I'm not a huge Nocturnus fan, but I like their music. They're not my favorite death metal band, but they were pushing the envelope. Atheist, same
It's
thing.
funny. It's funny because when I was doing the coining of death metal, it was originally supposed to be about where it led to in the bands, but when Nocturnus came out, now they actually were writing a concept album, and it was
Yeah,
like unheard of in death metal.
yeah,
You
the
know what I
key,
mean?
man. Yeah,
That was
the
a great
key, and
fucking album.
yeah, dude, and they had keyboards.
Yeah, they were the first
And that
death
made them
metal
different.
bands. They were the first death metal bands that brought in keyboards into the group.
Yep. Yeah, and
And
I like black metal. I do. I don't agree with some of this shit these people say, but like, it's like Immortal. I like Immortal. I like Emperor. I like Dimmu Borgir. I mean, people say that's pop music, but um, those those folks. But anyway, keyboards and music is cool. Look at Hypocrisy. They were a Swedish death metal band. They brought in keyboards, man, and they made the best music they ever made, in my opinion. I
you
love,
know,
The Abyss is great. The Arrival, Abducted, that was good
yeah,
stuff. And I mean, there's other great black metal. It doesn't have keyboards, but good metal is metal, man. And what makes it good is that it like has something cool. It's like one of those, oh, well, dude, wait till the drums come in. Those moments are like, this vocals are killer. Or, you know what I mean? And that's what this music's about.
yeah. It was weird because when I was doing my music too, I brought in keyboards, and but I wasn't listening to Nocturnus until after my first album. But I didn't want to limit myself, and that's where we go back to not limiting yourself,
Yeah,
proceeding,
man.
pushing those boundaries and elements. My first album didn't do that good, but then you had Nocturnus take it up, to the
Yep.
notch, and that was great. I mean, it's one of them things where the new frontiers of music are just I'm trying to word it correctly. It's your mind. Everything's in your mind.
Yeah, man.
If you just look, I'm talking to all you new musicians that are coming out that you know that want to make it in the industry. You cannot hold yourself back. You got to
No.
actually explore everything.
Yeah, and let me add to that. You're absolutely right, dude. And do not hold yourself back for any other reason. With today's technology, you can make records by yourself and have awesome music, and it makes you happy. That's what it's all about. That's there's your guidepost. If you're playing music, recording music, and you enjoy what you're doing, that's good enough. If you keep doing that and keep working hard, good things will happen. But yeah, don't hold yourself back because of my people would tell me, "Oh, those aren't real drums. It's a drum machine." Well, you know what? It is what it is,
It
man.
is what it
So
is, and this is what I got, and this is what I'm going to use,
yeah,
and this is how it's going to be. I mean, you know, I did an interview last night with Marco Huber from Exandria, and I asked him that question: if a kid came up to you, you know, what would you tell him? He's all, "Don't change your sound for anybody, not unless it's for
yep,
you, because
yep,
what comes from your
exactly,
heart is going to make it." So
right.
don't second guess yourself if you're with a bunch of guys and they're saying, "Oh, no, don't do this." You know what? And your heart's telling you to do this. Maybe it's time to move on and find
Yep,
people like you.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, the world's a big place with there's people that and bands that we are fans of that live in other continents that make records.
Oh, you know, it's funny because we're going back to a home studio. Look at Venom Inc. They released
Yeah,
Ava. They recorded it in Jeff's house in his basement off of an M audio. So I
yeah,
mean, there's no excuse for anybody
yeah.
these days.
There's really not. I mean, and that's the thing is like music is hard work. It's hard work just like pouring concrete is, or shoveling shit. It's tough work, and this is not only is it physically demanding, it's also like mentally demanding and emotionally demanding. And
You
if
know
you
what?
want to do this for
I'm going to
reals,
add.
you got to work.
You know, and what an important thing is that they don't realize. You know, the music industry is filled with disappointments,
Yeah,
and you know what I'm talking about.
beyond. Oh yeah.
And but you know what? You gotta be able to persevere and have a strong will to make it happen. I mean, look, how long did it take you to get signed with your label?
Oh man, for years. And one of the reasons why that it took so damn long was because it was my fault. I was playing in bands where people weren't taking it seriously. And I tried so hard to be like, we're going to take over the world, and that whole thing. And we're going to practice every, 3 days a week. Should be more, but we're going to practice on our own time and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And then I took a step back and it was like, wait a minute, I'm the only person that's wanting to do this, like, take it this seriously. And so when the COVID thing happened, I thought, you know what, man, I'm going to take it seriously and record all this music. Now is the time. You may not get another chance. So it's like, here we go. And as soon as I started doing stuff on my own and taking it seriously and investing
Doors
that
opened
energy
up.
into, yeah, man, because I didn't do anything but things that were gonna, benefit the situation. And it was like, instead of trying to, the time I spent trying to make, herd cats, I could, write songs or this and that. And yeah, man. So it took a long time, but the funny thing was, as soon as I stopped, you know, holding myself back, it started to happen.
See, this is why I'm doing the magazine too, because when I'm interviewing people, you know, and the weird thing is, a lot of people don't realize that all of us artists, we put on our pants one leg at a time.
Yeah,
We
man.
eat, we sleep,
Yep.
just
Yep.
like
Dude.
you guys. And the only
Yep.
thing different that we're doing, we're not holding ourselves back, and we're
Yeah.
true to what we want to do.
right. And being in the band's like being on a team. That's what metal's about too. It's like the brotherhood of metal. You know,
Oh,
and we all
well,
belong
hold
here.
on.
And
Let's go right there real quick. I mean, you brought up something that, okay, me and you grew up in a time where we were around a bunch of other groups, you remember? But we all helped out each other back then. And
yeah,
today's metal, you don't see that.
well, and I mean, I don't want to be the elitist guy, or the gatekeeper or whatever they call it. But the bottom line is like, back in the day, and I don't know how old you are, but I'm in my 30s, my late 30s.
I'm 54. No, I'm
Right.
50,
Okay.
man.
So I'm like so it went like you guys, then me, like my era, and then the other era, and then now there's another era. But it's like there's nothing wrong with looking backward to appreciate what's going on now. And that's one thing I think that maybe nowadays that like, oh, that's like music in metal is somewhat of a sport. You know what I mean? Like it is. Like we're all trying to, be fast and technical or heavy or whatever pick your thing you want to excel at, And like looking backwards is good because that's where you learn the fundamentals from. That's where like like music history. It's like look at classical music. Don't we all wish that we could be Mozart or Bach or Beethoven, and write music like that? At least me anyway. But you know, I still have appreciation for what came before me. And back in your era, people, you could listen to Iron Maiden, and you might even throw on a freaking a Winger tune. I mean, I've heard that one before too, or like the Scorpions. Like there was a lot of good music back then, and that's the difference too. Is like back in your era, everybody could play. Like you had to be able to play.
Yeah, it's kind
You
of
know,
boring back then.
boring.
If you weren't a shredder, you know, trying to get into one of them bands in high school, a thrash band, they wouldn't take you, you know?
Oh, I
So
believe it.
you had to learn.
Yeah, man, exactly. If you want to, and that's the thing is like, you know, that's more of the world that I came from because I grew up in a really small town. There was literally nothing to do, and I had some older cousins that were like, you know, the bad kids, and they like were listening to Slayer and stuff like that, and Megadeth and Testament and Metallica, and that's how I got into music was, you know, listening to that stuff that I had heard. It's like, oh, what's this? And funny story. So when I was a kid, I heard about this band called the Grateful Dead, and I thought, man, the Grateful Dead. I've seen some of their T-shirts. There's like skeletons, like there's like a skeleton with like a crown of thorns or something going on, and like they have like a lightning bolt inside of a skull. I thought the Grateful Dead. This is going to be brutal. So I asked my cousin Jeff. I'm like, hey man, you got any of that Grateful Dead? And he's like, all right. He just gave me like bleeding. And I'm like, this is gonna be killer.
You cut out.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay. So anyway, gonna hear the Grateful Dead for the first time. Put that CD in my CD player. And I'm like, all right, here comes the Grateful Dead. This is gonna be brutal. And it was not what I thought it was gonna be. They're all hippies and singing and peace, love, and dope. And I'm like, your name is the Grateful Dead. You've got a skull with a lightning bolt, and this is the Grateful Dead. You know
Oh
what I
man,
mean?
I remember, you know what? I had the same experience of like this one chick that I knew that I was trying to get down her pants in high school. She had a Grateful Dead album. And I'm like, you know what? You gotta, they gotta be heavy. And
This is gonna be some
guess
heavy
what?
shit, man.
I was like so disappointed. I'm like, you really like this shit? And
Right?
she's like, well, try out the Doors, and the Doors. I was
Hey,
like, hey, there we go, you
yeah,
know.
now we're talking. And I mean,
And
there's some good Grateful Dead songs. Don't get me wrong. Like I like a couple of them, and I respect them. They're obviously, they're legendary. And but yeah, it just wasn't for me. And I remember, thinking it was going to be heavy. And there's been a few albums from those eras as the years of, the transition from the thrash thing. Think of the albums that those bands put out that weren't very good.
right,
Like or they were different. Like what was that? What was that Exodus album that was like? Whoa, they turned into Alice in Chains, or like that Megadeth Risk. All the Metallica albums.
Well,
That's why Testament was cool, as they got heavier.
you know, here's the thing. I love Metallica. I love everything that they did for the industry. I think when they made the Black Album, I think the success of the Black Album changed them, and they wanted to capture that again and again and again, and it just couldn't. They couldn't do it.
Dude, but the songs were weaker.
That the
Like
thing is,
they
it
got
was
they got progressively like less heavy. Like the Black Album's like 10 times heavier than Load.
exactly that's what I'm saying. Is
10
like,
times.
I mean, that one. I mean, look, everyone says it's not thrash. It's not supposed to be thrash. I mean, Metallica
Yeah,
was
dude.
never thrash to begin with. From the beginning, when they first
Well,
was with Mustang, they were
yeah.
power metal.
Whoa, you think so? Well, they had the Judas Priest, chord thing going on. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. Kill 'Em All was.
Yeah,
I don't
it
know.
was
Killing
Kill
Is
'Em
My
All.
Business was a thrash album. I'll tell you.
Yeah,
That was a thrash album in my opinion.
yeah. I mean, but if you really think about it, when you listen to pre Metallica before James, when it was Ron singing, it was power metal. That's what Metallica was supposed to be.
Yeah, they had a demo called Power Metal
Yeah,
with that monster on it or something.
it was like no, that was you're thinking of Jump in the Fire.
Yeah, but there was another one though too that was called Power Metal. I know that. Yeah, you're right. Jump in the Fire had the dude, but there was something else where they had an image on it that was like a monster or something.
Yeah, I gotta go through it and look for it. But I mean, the point being is Metallica, even James never wanted to continue with to be singing and all that. You know what I mean? He
Oh yeah,
he always
yeah. They wanted to get John Bush, man.
Yeah,
Armored Saint.
And so, and everyone questions, or says, "Oh, it's James' vocals now." Well, James never felt that he was an actual singer, so he went and got singing lessons. So,
Hey.
It is what it is.
Yeah. I'm gonna say this. I like that Lux Eterna single they came out with.
Oh,
That
dude,
is the
that,
best.
That,
That
that
is the
one,
best Motorhead cover I have ever heard.
You know what? I love how they just went back to the roots. I mean, they remind
Man, the
me
vocals
so much.
are great. The
Oh,
production's
yeah, dude.
great. It sounds killer. And there's some people that don't like it. You know what? But I thought it was good.
Oh, it
I
was
didn't
a
really
great
care
song.
for the second song, but that first one was good.
Oh, I haven't even heard the second one. When did that come out?
Oh, a couple months ago.
Ah, I'm gonna have to go look for it now. But you see, it was weird when I heard Lux Eterna. I didn't even have a guitar in my hand, and I already knew it was in an 8-chord.
Oh
And,
yeah. Well, dude,
and,
it's like rock and roll 1-4-5 or 1-3-5 stuff.
Yeah, it's
1-4-5.
like, but it was excellent. I mean, the way they did it, they had the diamond head blitzkrieg style riffing, motor.
Oh yeah, and then the overkill drum beat.
Now that one, I was like, I was questioning Lars on that one because when they played it live, I had to see him play it live. But let's speaking of Lars, his two sons, man. Have you heard their band? It's pretty good.
I haven't. I have not. I've seen the name floating around on the internet there, but I haven't had a chance to check it out. I should though.
Yeah, give me your opinion, what you think of it.
I will.
Okay, one more question. Now, on your previous album, the one that oh God, I'm trying to remember. It has Frozen something in the title.
Oh, Recomposer.
Yeah. Okay. Who was the singer on that? Because I mean, you guys reminded me of. There's a band from back then. And I just can't get the name of it, but he reminds me of that singer.
Recomposer. I recorded that, or Tony and I, and then Joe Benson helped on that too. So there were two different vocalists on that one. And let's see, that was summer of 2021, I think. Yeah, and
During
that's old
COVID,
school.
right?
What's that?
During COVID again.
Yeah, during COVID. Yeah, we sure did. We were like, dude, if we're gonna go down, let's go down swinging. And we did all these great classic death metal tunes: Hypocrisy, Death, Obituary, frickin' Dismember, Bolt Thrower, Morbid Angel, Suffocation, Dying Fetus, all this stuff. Check it out. I'll get you the links. And Tony was able to replicate a lot of people fairly accurately, and he did a really good job of trying to catch their vibe. Like we did Carcass. Um, I can't remember what song we did from Carcass too. Oh man, Corporal Jigsaw Quandary.
Okay.
And he did it, man. He nailed those Jeff Walker vocals, and Joe Benson did a great job too on some of the stuff. Like he did some of the highs on and some of the other vocals on Ring Cremation. Suffocation. He did vocals on the screams on Feasting on the Blood of the Insane from 6 Feet Under. He did this vocals on. They went back and forth a lot on that record, and he did great on Bolt Thrower. Uh, Cenotaph. So if you like old school death metal, that's a great album. And Tony though did vocals on the Chasma Discord record I did with Lord Marco, and he also did vocals some of the songs on my newest cover album, Only What the Light Allows, and that's got like Children of Bodom, it's got Megadeth, it's got Death, it's got freaking. I had Nick Superchief from WADA. He did the vocals and keyboards on Millennium King from Old Man's Child. We had some Dimmy Borger on that one. We had Slayer. So there's a whole bunch of tracks on that that are really cool. Deicide, When Satan Rules His World, and Tony did vocals on that one. So check that one out too. And I think, and Tony, the one, let's see, I did a cover album called Decomposer, and that's got Vital Remains, Necrophagist, Symphony X, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, freaking Arch Enemy, At the Gates. So there's a whole. I put out a song by like every band that I like, almost. I mean, not all of them, but pretty close. And if you like those classic bands, are going to like those albums. But yeah, Tony's a good vocalist, man. And if you have a chance, listen to the Chasm of Discord record. And man, he did great. And I like death metal vocals, but he has like a certain melodic tinge to it where he can make, especially on the music that we wrote, where it's dynamic, like the music, it changes. So it's not just like the same monotone, stuff going on, or, you know what I mean? It's got variety.
Yeah, that's cool. No, wish I would have known you about a month or two ago. Had a friend doing a show doing in Hawaii, the first metal
Oh,
fest
nice.
over there. And
Dude, I've been great in January.
well, check this out, man. Um, she got who was it? Michelangelo.
Oh, Michelangelo Video.
Yeah, man. Fucking,
Yeah,
you're talking about a
master.
shredder,
I watch
man.
his dude. I steal as much as I can from that dude. As a matter of fact, the warm up routine that I have, this little like noodly thing, it's not crazy or nothing. It's his warm up routine. I watch his live streams as much as possible, and I'm subscribed to all of his channels. And Michelangelo, you know what? I don't know, like I stream and stuff like that too, but he can just sit down and like tell you a story and noodle around, and it's interesting.
Oh,
Not
I
only is
trip
he a
out
great
on how
guitar
he
player,
does
but he's
it.
got a million really cool stories. So that's he's entertaining. That's awesome. I'm a huge Michelangelo fan. If he ever hears this, you sir,
Well, he probably
or
will because I sent him a message asking him if I could do an interview with him. And
oh, killer man.
so, I mean, just to have him, I mean, he's like another icon. But I mean, you're talking
Oh,
about
dude.
one.
In
Yeah, I can't even go from there. Just talking about these guys, I mean,
oh yeah.
he's just like beyond James Murphy, you know?
Oh, dude. Well, dude, he's gonna give you the keys to the Lamborghini.
Yeah, exactly. Between
And
him, Joe Satriani, and Jeff Beck, and yeah, it was like, oh man, them guys
oh,
right
dude.
there.
Oh yeah. They're on another level, man. They were innovative. And they pushed guitar playing to the extreme, like Joe Satriani is the extremist, And I'm going to NAM as a GHS strings artist in April. They're having NAM in April this year, and it's the first time I've ever gone. And I'm proud to be a GHS artist and representing the company down there. And I'm hoping to run into some of these people and be like, dude, it's Michelangelo. How you doing, man? And I heard that
Well,
he's a really nice guy. So he might, who's this bum? But hopefully I get a chance to meet some of these people. I'm looking forward to it.
yeah, do me a favor, tell your label to send me an email, and whenever they want to get any of their bands on Pure Metal
Yeah,
Guys.
man. Yeah, I have some, and I have some other friends in bands that are great bands. One band called Abiosis who has a new record coming out, and Corin from Immolation, their drummer Charlie Corin's doing their record right now, and I'll make sure to if you're interested to have them come on your show. They're
Oh
really
yeah.
really really good dudes and good musicians, and there's a lot of people. And yeah, man, whatever I can do to help spread the word, dude, for sure. And I
Well, I
appreciate you
mean,
doing the same for me.
and it's weird because I started back out in November, right? But we already got a fan base in Mexico,
Oh, nice, man,
Peru, Colombia, Argentina,
dude.
China, um, Poland, some places
Hell
in
yeah,
Germany, some places in France, Spain, um,
dude.
Asia. It's
Yeah,
just,
that's
but you know what you can't control are the likes. You can see everything on your analytics, but people on
right,
Facebook, they get tired of, oh, follow, subscribe,
right.
But
Well,
you know
and
what?
that's the
I
thing.
I don't I don't ask for that. As long as I
Yeah,
know they're viewing and I'm giving them good content, like look at what I'm doing like all day today. So
yeah. You've been busy all day, man.
honestly, you saw that AI narration, because
Yeah,
like I said, I want to cater to people like you when you guys are touring out there, them long drives, you have something to listen to.
dude. And let me say this: it's nice when you're on the road and you're listening to something besides, blast beats and sweep arpeggios or, Marty Robbins, man. It's nice to hear a story. You know what? I would have listened to the Silmarillion on YouTube.
Yeah.
That is how big a dork that I am. Is I'm a huge J.R. Tolkien fan,
You know what
and
I
I would
used to do?
listen to that shit
Um,
all the time.
when we're traveling, I would put on those Sasquatch Chronicles because they were so long, and I could just listen to the stories. And I'm like,
Yeah, yeah, man. So, yeah, content like that for people are going to dig it, and that's the thing. And that like to musicians, the world is a big place. Make sure you're doing quality stuff, quality content. It will get heard, and it will be seen, and it will be appreciated. Does that make money? Not really. It might make enough to keep it going, and that's a win, man. If you can make enough money to keep it going, you're doing something right, and that's success in my
and
opinion.
that's what
And
they
it
don't
doesn't even matter if it's
understand.
got money does not equal success, but like if
Being out
you
there,
enjoy what you're doing and you're getting it out to people, that's what's important, and that's what makes this world go around. And quality content, like you're talking, like all the followers and likes and all these numbers and analytics and geometry and statistics. And I just had my YouTube channel finally I have an official YouTube channel, and I had videos that I released albums through other labels and stuff like that were in outer space over here on somebody else's channel that I never knew about, and like this and that and the other. So finally all my stuff got condensed.
do me a
So
favor. Once you get that, if I get that monetized thing for YouTube, put me on your whitelist because I played your song. You remember? I was trying to drop it down for the
yeah,
background, but I want
yeah,
to. I'm gonna probably add some more music to a couple for just to go with the vibe of the whole podcasting.
yeah, man,
If you
dude.
don't mind.
No, go right ahead. No, I appreciate it, dude. No, feel free, man. I'm grateful that you're having me on the show, man.
Nah, don't worry about that. I mean, just talk to your label, whoever's you know,
I'll shoot
that's
I'll shoot them an
monitor.
email tonight. They don't ever sleep. Those guys are open 24/7.
Yeah. Well, I didn't go to
Right,
bed until like 3 o'clock in the morning, man, because I was
dude.
doing all these. I did the interview on the website. The right afterwards, I went in, did the AI narration for Exandria, then Possess, then Azteca, and then I was doing Calad, and then now I'm here with you. I haven't had time for myself.
Dude, yeah, this is and that's another thing. This is a full-time gig, man. This is a full-time job.
My
Well, think of
girlfriend's
the
like,
hours you're spending every day. It's a labor of love, so that's why you do it. But
yeah, and
yeah,
you
dude,
know,
this
it's
is,
funny.
you know,
My girlfriend's like, "Do you got time for me anymore?" I'm like, I'm making time right now," and she's all, "No,
exactly
you're not. You're over." I'm all, "I'm talking to you. I'm making time for you while I'm
right,
doing this."
right. Well,
I
hey,
know, but like I tell her, I'm not doing it for the fame or for anything. I'm doing it, to get a network, of all the bands out there, even the ones that are struggling, get their name out there,
yeah.
because here's the deal. The underground feeds the commercial. And the more
Oh,
underground,
agreed.
the more commercial, they all need the underground to feed each other. That's how
Yeah.
this industry works. And then you
Well,
get bands
especially in
like,
metal.
yeah. And
I
then you
mean,
get bands like over here, that that get a good following. You get a big band like let's say like Possessed or Soulfly. Slow,
right.
I'll use Soulfly, and then yeah, they see that you got a good following, you got good music. They might just reach out to you and say, you know what, hey, we're going to be over here. Why don't you open act? And you
Well,
open act for them, and hey, you know what, we like you. Why don't you come out on the rest of the show?
and that's the thing is, in the least, no risk, no reward, man. You know,
Exactly,
you know, it,
exactly.
we, you can't. It's like my manager told me, you can't be in the game if you don't have a piece on the board. You know,
You know, your manager's right. I mean,
yeah,
seriously. I mean,
he is right.
you gotta take a chance out there and all
I
this.
mean, that guy's, and that's the thing too, is having people that know how to navigate these waters is huge too, because it gets to a certain point, like you don't, for me anyway, it was like there's questions I don't have answers to. At a certain point, you're going to need other people's help. It's really tough in this business to be an island unto yourself and not at least network with people. So put anybody listening, put your music out there, support other people in their endeavors, and that'll all reciprocate.
Let me know when you guys go down to Mexico. And I got some real good bands down there that can open acts for you guys.
Oh,
And
nice. Yeah, man, totally down. Like and that's the thing too, is there's lots of bands that are on tours that aren't doing crazy stuff that are really really good. So, like you said, man, you know, hopefully
network.
keep putting your stuff out there, and people will notice it. And that's the double edged sword of the age we live in, is that there's a lot of really good music and there's a lot of shit.
Yeah.
And if you got good stuff and you believe in yourself, spam it, spam away, share it with every person on the planet. Why not?
Yeah. By the way, how did you hear about Pure Metal? I can't even pronounce my own company, Pure Metal of Gods.
Sashko,
Really?
yes, he told me all about it, man, and I'm grateful for it. And you know, I wish I would
Yeah,
have been here
you saw
sooner.
the listing that I had on there, right? He passed you the
Yeah,
website?
yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you really think about it, it's kind of unheard of a magazine that started out from nowhere to get like Venomine,
Oh
Possessed,
yeah,
Nocturnus.
exactly, man. But that's the thing, is that everybody that you're talking to, these guys that are in these huge bands, they number one appreciate it, that what you're doing, and if it wasn't for stuff like this, they wouldn't be where they are, you know.
Yeah.
So
So, I
it's
mean,
huge.
I right here, right now, I want to thank Venom Inc., Possessed, James Murphy, Mike Browning, Nocturnus AD, Calad, Azteca, Slave Pit. God, there's so many bands on there. Pissing Razors, my boys from El Paso.
Dude, man. No, those guys. I remember being a kid and listening to Pissing Razors,
Oh
and
well,
it was
here's one.
like,
Hold on. I got a story for you. You remember Disciple?
uh, what one?
They Disciple used to tour with Pantera before when they just barely started breaking out with Phil.
No, no, no. It's just a little bit before my time. I mean, I was around, but I wasn't like I did. I never heard of them. No.
James Rockmore, the guitarist from Disciple, he's in El Paso now. That's his hometown anyway. The guys from the Pissy Razors, they're all from El Paso. That's why I was asking you, who did your sound over there? Was it Eddie
I
Garcia?
I don't remember, but the dude was really, really, really freaking cool. I know that. I remember that. He was nice and did a great job. And it was a cool place to play. And I remember they had like the murals of like Van Halen and Randy Rhoads and stuff. It was really, really cool. And they had a good little burrito taco cart right outside. It was great.
Um, well, if you ever make your way down there and you guys are looking for a sound on man, Eddie Garcia from the Piston Razors has got his own company,
Nice.
and
Dude,
he's on my
that's awesome.
website. So if you go into a studio's journey, his number will be right there. So you
Oh
can,
wow.
yeah, so that way you can contact him for like, PA sound and all
Oh
that.
yeah. Are they still active? I sure hope so.
Yeah, yeah. I just got done doing an interview with them.
Oh man, I'll have to listen to it. That's so awesome. They were such a good band. They I
Still
remember
are.
hearing them
They
when I was just
redid that song from Soulfly Nail Bomb? They just redid it with Skin Lab.
hate it. Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So yeah, they're still active.
That's awesome. Good to hear because they were great. I can't remember the name of the album that I had of theirs, but oh, it's like they were all standing on the front of it, or the back cover was them standing there.
Um
It's like black and blue or something. It had
God,
like barbed wire, or was it had like their barbed wire shit on the front? It was anyway. They're a great band. I don't remember, but yeah, dude, I haven't heard listen to them in a long time. But I remember listening to that album a lot because I was never really a huge Pantera fan,
right.
but I liked Pissing Razors, and I really liked them, and I really liked X Hoarder a lot too. And I mean,
Well, you know
Pantera's
what
cool.
I
Don't get me
loved
wrong.
about the Piston Razors? They got that unique groove mixed with that punk sound. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Like I remember listening to them, and then like Propane was huge too.
Actually, I'm gonna probably end up tagging all these bands that we're talking about.
Yeah, tag them all.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, hey guys, go listen. I listened to all your records. Go listen to mine. I'm a huge fan of
yeah.
every one of you. Say,
Eddie's really cool. Gio's cool. Matt Lynch, man, he's amazing on the guitar, man.
that's awesome. Great
Yeah,
band.
and then Joe. What can I say, man? That dude. Every time I hear him sing, and he steps up his game. And then their manager Terry, I can't forget about him.
Do you have any crazy freaking ministry stories?
Oh, dude. Um, Eddie. Eddie was telling me this because I asked him, "How did you join ministry?" He's all, it was real simple. I asked a buddy of mine if they were looking for a drummer. He said, no, they're looking for a guitarist. And voila. Then Eddie started becoming an assistant engineer to Al when he was renting out Chateau Studios down there in El Paso.
Nice.
So, I mean,
Man.
if you want to get some other crazy stories, we're going to have to get Eddie on here.
Yeah, well, make that happen, dude. Give him a call.
Yeah, I'd love to. Just right now, I have no idea where he is. I think they're touring right now because they're
good, dude. That's exactly where they need to be.
They're Milwaukee
awesome.
Metal Fest or some shit like that.
Dude. I mean, you could do a whole show on that, just the history that's there. That is awesome they brought it back.
Yeah.
I remember being a kid, remember Metal Edge magazine?
Yes.
Okay, I lived in this really small town, and all that we had was Metal Edge magazine. We did one every 6 months. And I'd be flipping through it, and there's pictures of Cinderella and shit. I mean, this is the 90s too. We're talking 94, 95.
I got a Cinderella story.
Dude, they're a good band. Don't get me wrong, but so I'm flipping through this Metal Edge magazine. Maybe once in a while they had a Metallica thing or something, but nothing ever hit. But they had the Milwaukee. They had a thing about the Milwaukee Metal Fest. It was 1998 because I remember seeing Hypocrisy, and I was like, "What is this thing?" It's Milwaukee Metal Fest, and all the bands that played it, and how legendary those shows were. And it's awesome they brought it back.
Oh
Let's hear your Cinderella story, then I got to wrap it up. 'Cause I got to keep going to bed.
no. They were doing a show with Rat, and actually, Rob Crosby was my guitar teacher along with my other guitarist. He borrowed.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, he borrowed a Les Paul from us after he left Rat because he was dying of AIDS. And
Yeah, he was rough.
well, he stole my guitar, dude, and pawned it to get his
Smack.
heroin fix. So we go to see Cinderella and Rat, the rest of the guys, and I'm talking to Tom, and Tom's right there backstage.
Tom Kiefer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was over here just, man, I want to apologize to you. Apologize to me for what? He's like, you know what? I'll pass this pretty great to us. Well, don't tell me, man. You go out there and tell them. Yeah. And he's all, well, I'm like, why are you telling me this? Tell them that. I'm all, I'm just a fan, Tom. And it was a pleasure to meet you, but, and I'm all, just hang out with you guys backstage when most people can't, that's cool, you're one of my idols growing up,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but I'm all, to be honest with you, you go out there right now, you play your songs, and you go tell the crowd what you just told me. And I guarantee you they're going to love it. Well, he goes out there and he tells them, and he actually points right at me afterwards and says, that man right there told me to tell you. So I was like, damn, I was so fucking stoned that night.
Dude, I thought you couldn't smoke weed in Texas.
Yeah, right. Now you can.
Dude, when we were on the road, they told us, they're like, if you have, like, 'cause in Oregon, pot's legal, and they're like, if you smoke pot, then you better get rid of that shit because they'll be stopping your car. And one of the bands that I was on tour with, they were saying that they actually got stopped like the last time they were down there, and some shit went down.
Yeah.
So,
well, I know now over here they're opening up all them CBCs, all that shit.
Right.
So I mean, I think it'll probably be maybe in the next couple of years, everything will be.
Yeah. Probably, man. Definitely. I mean, when we went to Salt Lake City, Utah, and obviously, and we were playing there. And in Utah, it's like there's like a line that people don't cross when they're enjoying themselves. And there were like people like huddled in the corner, and they were like rolling a joint, and they were like, it was just like crazy to see that, like, oh wow, like they're really paranoid about it. It was interesting just being able to see the different dynamics of the states that we live in.
Well, I mean, you had it made. I mean, you went through New Mexico where it's legal. You went through Oklahoma. You went to Colorado.
It just got legal in New Mexico.
Yeah,
just became legal.
Yeah, you went at the right time, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't smoke pot. I mean, I'm not gonna. I'm not Bill Clinton or anything, but you know what I mean. But I just right, exactly. I inhale. Yeah. And I mean, and I guess that tells you how old I am. But at any rate, yeah, it's crazy, man. It's a crazy world we live in.
Yeah. Well, man, I want to thank you for being a part of Pure Metal of Gods, and
thank you, man.
I dig the music. Honestly, when I heard it today, I mean, as busy as I've been, but I actually had a little time to analyze it, as you know, through Messenger and all that. And yeah, dude, whenever you want to be a part of the magazine or the YouTube,
man,
you're more than welcome.
I appreciate
to
it.
come
I'll
back,
definitely take you up on that.
And
for sure,
man, I love the music. I really do. You got something really good there. And I
really appreciate it, dude. I really do.
I'm going to pass this to a few of my promoters, friends in Mexico and Asia and all that.
Thanks, dude. Serious.
And tell them, hey, check it out. I mean, you guys give a lot of bands a run for their money. I mean, you really do, from what I heard.
I appreciate it, dude. I really do. Coming from somebody that knows good stuff and like the old school, if you will. So it means a lot, man. That's what I'm doing this for, is to keep metal going, dude.
Actually, I didn't even realize, man, we're like almost 2 hours into this interview, and it seems like we've known each other forever, man.
Man, we can bullshit with the best of them.
You know what it is, and this is the truth. Music is an icebreaker amongst anybody.
Dude, it's the oldest form of communicating.
Exactly. Well, tell you what, you have a good night. We're going to end
You
this
too, dude.
podcast. By the way, let them know how to get a hold of you, your music, everything else.
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Matt Miller Guitar, Matt Miller 630 on Instagram. I have a YouTube channel. I have obviously Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Shredded One Matt. That's me. I'm on Bands in Town, Spotify. I have a bunch of albums, more content coming soon. Chasm of Discord, check that out too. You know,
And your
keep your
record
eyes peeled
label?
on
Your record
Blood
label?
Blast, Nuclear Blast, and hopefully we'll be having about. I hope to have 3 new releases this year and some remasters of the other albums. So keep your eyes peeled. I'll be putting a bunch of
Send
stuff
me
out.
all
I
that
put
information in an email. I mean, all your
You bet, dude.
links.
I'll send it to you here this eve, or maybe tomorrow
Yeah,
morning.
send it. You can send it. Go ahead tomorrow. This probably won't be released until next week.
Oh, perfect, dude. That way I can share the piss out of it.
Yeah. So I mean, and it helps me out because, like I said, I got a backlog of everything that I'm doing right now.
Yeah, dude. Well, that's cool, man. That's a problem you want to have.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's a lot of work, but I'm actually I'm doing something for the fans, and that's what matters to me. So
Dude, that's for all the right reasons, man.
yeah,
And helping people, dude. That's what this is about.
you see, there you heard it yourself. In this
Oh yeah, dude.
business, it's communication, friendships, and helping out each other.
Yep. That's the only way where anybody's ever made it or will make it, dude, for sure.
Exactly. Hey, man, pleasure, Matt.
Absolutely, dude. Until next time, bro.
All right, hold on.